we have our opening morning speaker to start off the day. And her name is Linda Clemons. She has done so many wonderful and extraordinary things in her career. She's absolutely, all caps, amazing. Linda is an award-winning, record-setting sales producer, as well as one of the top sales trainers in the world in the resort timeshare industry, where clients have generated over $2 billion in sales. Now, Linda, we know you sell and you're big time in that regard. However, if you're doing any leasing, we will be calling you, because after this is all over, we will need a timeshare. We will need a getaway. So stand by for a lot of incoming. She's also a trained and certified body language expert, yes, with an emphasis on analytic interviewing and statement analysis, which, by the way, is a process that's used to detect deception. Cannot fool this lady. Linda, her clients include Southwest Airlines, Coca-Cola, Spanx, Publicist, Nielsen, National Urban League, MGM, Major League Baseball, Wells Fargo, U.S. Customs, FBI, Marriott, Hilton, and Starwood, just to name a few. There's a whole lot more. And Linda has opened for or shared the stage with such notables. See if you recognize anybody. I'm not sure. Oprah Winfrey, President Obama, Steve Wozniak, co-founder of Apple, and Dr. Condoleezza Rice. So, with this kind of hobnobbing and elbow rubbing, she kind of doesn't really need to speak to us, but of course she will. And here she is now. Please welcome to the screen, Ms. Linda Clemons.
Thank you, Ms. Neville. Thank you so much. And thank you, Google, for being one of the sponsors of this wonderful day. And thank you, Odyssey. I'm excited to be able to share with you this morning. As an expert in sales and nonverbal communications, I am excited to be able to travel around the world and be able to teach others how to hear the inaudible and see the invisible. So I'm excited on this particular day to be able to reassess the global opportunities that we have for you. Now, many of my close friends call me the diva of deception detection, but I'm going to share with you 5 tips a little bit later on how you can be exceptional in global communications. But before I get started, I want to interrupt this program because I have a special announcement, and this is serious. See, what's been taking place, the pandemic has touched us in a way that it is unbelievable, and none of us could even imagine. It's impacted our friends, our family, our co-workers, not just in our nation, around the world. And studies have shown that we as women, we have a higher social sensitivity, more so than men. And several researchers have found that we also have a higher proportion of being able to connect right into another human being. And because of our gifts and our talents and our social sensitivity, we're able to generate more ideas and quickly. But here's what's taking place, breaking news in this pandemic. We are dealing with panic. And when you're dealing with panic, you go into the part of your brain, the reptilian part of the brain, the amygdala part of the brain. It's the part of the brain that hijacks you. In other words, you can't do your best and the less comes out. So we're not going to do that. You're going to move from panic. We're going to go to pause. When you pause, you're able to breathe. And then we're going to prepare so that we can pivot and be able to propel. This is critical. Now, I was listening to several presentations over the last few weeks because every organization has to be able to pivot. And I've been watching the news, and it's amazing to me when we can hear just one word. One word can literally change how we feel. It can change our posture. It can change what we think. And the one word I would hear constantly, particularly in the news media, was the word emergency. We know we're dealing with a pandemic, but the word emergency. So we are in a state of emergency, but here is the deal. The dictionary defines emergency as an unforeseen occurrence requiring immediate attention. 1630s Latin defines it as emergence, to rise out or rise up. The word emerge is defined as to move out our way and allow something to come in so that it can come into full view. The word her is defined as a female person. And I decided to use the word sí as in Spanish, meaning yes. So now, my sisters and a few good brothers that are out there, we now have a new word for the word emergency. We're going to call it emerge her see. Listen to me, emerge her see. So emerge, we're coming up and out. Her being the female, see, yes. So the new definition of emerge her see is a woman that's saying yes and committed to rising up, moving out, and coming into full view of her talents, skills, gifts, and boldness, brilliance, and beauty. Now, I'm telling you, we are now emerging out. So our time is limited. Our time is limited for our success. Our time is limited for what we need to do. So we're going to shift our paradigm and letting you know my time is limited for you. There are 31,536,000 seconds in a year. You've only got a minute. 60 seconds in it, forced up on you. You didn't seek it, you didn't choose it. You are hurt if you lose it, accountable if you abuse it. We've only got that tiny little minute. But your future, your legacy, your family, your friends, your workers, your history, your eternity is in it. Now back to our regular scheduled program. Now I'm going to talk to you as a nonverbal communications expert. Man, I have fun, and let me tell you about this. Normally, most people are used to me being on stage, and if you've seen me before, heard me before, I'm bringing people up on the stage, and what I do that's a little bit different, I line everyone up, ask them a few questions, and then ask them to freeze, because I love the state of mind that you are in at the current time. So you freeze. The reason why I'm asking you to freeze so that I can look at those micro expressions, so that I can notice the 43 muscles that are in your face, and knowing that 37 of them you use to make at least 26 to 27 different expressions. But we as women, we probably make more than 1,000. That's my little joke there. I hear you laughing. So what's so critical that in nonverbal communication, our words are 7% of our communication. Our tonality is 38%. And our nonverbal is 55%. Your words, those 7%, are your words passionate? Are they passive? Are they poison? Are they powerful? Your words. Every actor in Hollywood right now, at this moment in time, even in this pandemic, is waiting for the script with the right words. The most revered word in the world is mother. And the most feared word in the health industry is cancer. Your words are powerful. It can create harmony. It can create collaboration. And at the same time, it could start a war. That's how powerful your words are. Tonality is 38% of your communication. There's a saying that goes, it's not what you say or how you say it, but it's what they hear. So I can say something like this. I saw Steve and Sandy, and they were in the office the other day, and you're not going to think anything of it. But if I look at you and looking right at you and say, I saw Steve and Sandy, and they were in the office the other day. Simply the tone can change the message by 180 degrees. I'm giving you the foundation so you can understand. And then our nonverbal is 55% of our communication. And if all three don't agree, then there's a disconnect between you and me. So now we're not able to travel like we used to. And now we're able to sit and look at this screen and speak to everyone around the world. So you're able to travel virtually. And what's important, you're going to be doing business virtually. So if you're speaking to someone in Brazil or Japan or China or Hong Kong, you have to be aware of the nuances or the nonverbal cues. So I'm going to give you a few did you knows. Did you know that your head movements can make a difference? For example, in different parts of the world, let's say India, we have what we call the head bobble, where the head just tilts side to side. That's their way of saying a confirmation or affirmation. But at the same time, the head nod, if I'm in Japan, a simple nod simply means I heard you, I'm listening, but it does not mean I agree with what you're saying. Do you know that eye contact is okay in most Western countries and cultures? But here is the thing, in other parts of the world, especially Japan, direct eye contact can make someone uncomfortable. critical. Whereas in our Spanish and Arabic cultures, strong visual contact is common with same sex. And when you don't acknowledge it or look back, it is deemed as disrespectful. The other thing, did you know, check this out, that tapping your nose in Italy means watch out. While in the UK, it means I've got something confidential. So this is so critical, just the little movements that we do. Now, here's your foundation so that you can understand no matter where we are around the world, no matter who you connect with, there's one thing that we have in common, and it's the 7 emotions. And the 7 emotions are anger, fear, surprise, sadness, happiness, contempt. And when you have the 7 emotions, when you're communicating with another person, you know if they're happy, you know if they're surprised, you know if they're sad. That's the universal language. But let's go to the next level so that we can be prepared in order to be successful in this global world. So check this out. Here are your 5 tips. Are you ready? Are you ready? Number 1, your first tip, proximity. I need for you to pay close attention as to how close someone is in conversation when you are traveling globally. This is very critical. So for example, if you are too close to someone in different parts of the world, it could be a sign of aggression. Yet if you are too far away, it could be a sign that you're not sincere and lack affection and there's no connection. In Japan, proximity space is critical because here's what they need. They need the space to be able to bow. Whereas in Latin America countries and cultures, they're very tactile and affectionate. So when speaking, be prepared to be close. Number 2, your face and eyes. Now I gave you the data and the statistics. 43 facial muscles. We use about 37 of them to make at least 27 different expressions. So watch this. Here in the United States, I can give you the eye flash. The eyebrow flash is this. But under the circumstance, if I go like this, check this out. And I'm looking at you and I'm happy to see you. And then I go like, ah. So the eyebrow flash is critical as to when and the timing that you do it. Understand with facial expressions and eye expressions, you can send a different message. In certain cultures and countries, you've got to be careful of the eye gaze. Look how I'm looking at you, I'm looking at you. You have to be careful that if you're extending the neck, ladies, to the most vulnerable part, you have to be careful in certain parts of the world if you are touching the suprasternal notch. Do you know when I am working with witnesses and suspects and I'm asking them, Miss Jones, so where was your son Stephen on October the 25th? That if she touches the suprasternal notch when answering gives me an indication that she is holding something back and being very protective. So we must be aware. So 1, proximity. Number 2, watching the face and eyes, making sure that if you're in different parts of the world, if you're supposed to have eye contact in the United States, it's acceptable 65 to 75% of the time. And the other thing is hand gestures. Hand gestures, be aware. And are the palms exposed? Here in the United States, I'm watching if someone's talking and I'm in the middle of a negotiation and I'm watching if their palms are exposed, because if their palms are exposed, it lets me know that they're being authentic and they're being truthful. Studies have shown if someone is sharing something with you, no matter where it is around the world, if they're sharing something with you and they're not exposing the palms, it could be a sign of deception. So someone, unless there are a sociopath, a psychopath, they cannot, or they're being deceptive or lying. A person who is being deceptive or lying cannot have the palms exposed for a long period of time. Simple little sign there and trick there for you. So hand gestures are very important. For many of you who are doing global presentations, and we're going to be doing them virtually, make sure that you move with purpose. If you are using your hands to punctuate a point, make sure it's congruent with your message. Very, very important, because it doesn't matter what you say, your nonverbal will get in the way. This is critical. One of my favorite quotes was from Emerson, and I love it. And the quote goes like this: I cannot hear what you're saying because who you are being is getting in the way. I cannot hear what you're saying because who you are being is getting in the way. And speaking of hand gestures, going back to that, the emblems are the signs that we make in the United States. You know how we do the thumbs up in other countries? That thumbs up, particularly in the Middle East, it can be quite defensive. When we do the signs A-OK in other countries, it means something vulgar. So when you're traveling around to different parts of the world, make sure that you begin to observe the culture, observe the people, watch them in conversation. Number 4, arms and feet positioning. Arms and feet positioning. Posture is key in understanding nonverbal communication. So let me give you a good example. What if I'm doing this entire presentation and my arms are folded? Automatically, you're going to think she's closed off. She's not being open because I'm covering a power zone. And when I use the word power zone, I'm speaking of the throat, the heart, the belly button. And the moment that a connection or power zone is closed off, then there is a disconnection. Do you know that in some parts of the world, when you show the soles of your feet? So ladies, how many times if you're sitting down and then you cross your legs? In Middle Eastern cultures, this is what takes place. When you show the belly of your feet, of your sole, it is deemed rude and disrespectful. So when traveling, and the saying goes in Rome, do as the Romans do, you want to make sure that you know what is taking place. And number 5, what's critical is mirroring. Now, we use this a lot in sales, where you try to build rapport and begin to match the body language of the person that you're talking to. That's what mirroring is all about. So here's a good lesson for you. No matter where you go in the world, we're going to call it shadowing. Look around and begin to shadow the movements so that you can begin to get comfortable. I want you to be fierce. I want you to have it going on. I want you to stand in instead of standing out because you're in another part of the world. So those are the 5 tips that I have for you. And I want to say this. It is so critical. It is so critical that whatever is on your mind, whatever that's on your mind, it comes out in the matter. So you think it, so it comes out. And when you are thinking something that's negative, the body language closes off. Do you know that people we like, we don't mind being close to? People who we dislike or feel uncomfortable, we move away from. So I want you to be aware of that just in your day-to-day and as you're connecting. And one last thing that I want you to remember, and this is so important. Not only does our body give off a message, so does our environment, as well as our clothing and our colors. If you want to be motivational, inspire, prints and bold colors do that as well. If you want to be conservative, the more darker colors will do that. And if you want to be well received, the lighter colors welcome people in. However, one of my favorite colors in materials is white linen. If I was going to China to do a presentation, even though I love my white linen suit, it may be taken wrong because white in many cases is the color and the sign of mourning. So we must be aware of all the nuances and all the nonverbal cues. So I know my time is almost limited, and I want you to know that I've enjoyed my time with you. Hope you learned a few things. And I want to thank you, Google. I want to thank you, Odyssey. And I want to say to my friends that are out there who are preparing to reassess globally, to my French friends, I want to say merci. To my Spanish friends, gracias. To my Japanese friends, arigato. And to my German friends, dankeschön. And if I was to say it in Swahili, I would say asante or nashkuru. And me, I'm going to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And if my sister friend Linda Spradley Dunn would say thank you, she would say, thank you, boo. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate sharing with you.